Hey everybody, Michael here, and today I wanted to update a popular video that I did, which was titled Jailbreak Advice for Every PS4 or PS5 Firmware. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. And so, beginning with the PlayStation 4, we currently have a jailbreak which goes up to PS4 version 11.0. Now, if you have a very old PlayStation 4, meaning in the versions 1.x, 2.x, 3.x, and 4.x, I would recommend that you keep them absolutely as they are. These typically have a lot more value than some of the later versions of the PlayStation 4. And with that, what I'm meaning is that it's pretty common, at least where I'm at, to be able to find a machine that is under 11.0. If I look on Facebook Marketplace or one of those types of tools, more than likely I would be able to find somebody that's got a dusty PS4 and it may be setting on 9.03. I could always update that to 11.0 if I had wanted to. Now, I will say that if you are on this very specific version of 5.00 on the PlayStation 4, I would absolutely just go ahead and update it to 5.05. And if you were to ask me about 5.05, the thing that I would say here is that this is considered by most and by myself even to be the golden firmware of the PlayStation 4. I absolutely am amazed by the stability in 5.05. You don't have to use exFAT or you don't have to use a USB thumb drive, etc. And especially that all of the back ports work on this firmware, there's not a lot of reason to update to something else. Now, a little bit different story if you are on a 5.5x or really just a 5.x, it's outside of a 0.5, that you should update to 9.00. Now, I know a lot of you may be thinking, well, if I was on this sort of 5.5x system, I would probably go to 6.72. And the main reason for that is, again, with 6.72, you would not have to use the USB drive. You also wouldn't have to use the Ethernet port like you have to over here on the 11.0s. Now, I have a 6.72 system right now, and I will say that PS4 is never used. It is never turned on, only really to make a video, but I personally would go ahead and update to 9.00 if I were on that firmware. Now, again, this is the same point as just a moment ago. Basically, if you're in the sixes, I would also say just go ahead and go to 9.00 unless you really don't want to use this exFAT exploit where you need a USB drive. Now, for 7.x and for 8.x, this really isn't much of a conversation. I would, without a shadow of a doubt, go ahead and update those to 9.00, which is the one that we're talking about right now. So obviously, I covered the 9.00 jailbreak in depth on the channel here when it came out. It has, to this day, been my favorite version of the PlayStation 4. I believe right now I have about 5 PlayStation 4s that are setting on 9.00. So I absolutely love this firmware. I am using an ESP device, and I found the jailbreak just to be super stable compared to some of the things that we have to do in these 9 and 10.x and 11.0 firmwares. This, again, is going to be the preferred version. And again, all of the backports work flawlessly because this has kind of been that gold standard outside of 5.05 for the PlayStation 4 for a very long time. And I don't see that changing at all, to be honest with you. Now, the 9.x and the 10.x kind of falls under that same sort of philosophy that I had with 8.x and 7.x. meaning that there is no reason, in my opinion, to not go ahead and update to 11.0. And that is also including the 9.03 here. So if you are on 9.03, then I would recommend updating to 11.0. I personally had a 9.03 system, which I did update to 11.0. So that kind of proves that I'm definitely doing exactly as I am saying. And the next version that we have here is 11.0. So 11.0 again is the highest firmware that's currently supported with the jailbreak. And I believe if you have an 11.0 system, so again, you will be using PP-Pawn for this, as well as you can use it for these other firmwares too. But again, the PP-Pawn does require the Ethernet port in order to do that, and you will need some way to kind of run the application, whether that be running it on a television, as we've seen people doing, and so forth. Now, in my opinion, if you have a machine on 11.02 plus or anything on 12.x, I would say just go ahead and sell those. There is no real reason, in my opinion, to be waiting around on those firmwares. I would sell it, see what I could get out of it, and then after that, I would go again to one of those Facebook Marketplace or maybe one of those local Craigslist and find somebody that's got a dusty PlayStation 4 on there, and then find one of the versions at 11.0 and under through the marketplace. I would not keep a machine on those systems at the moment unless I maybe wanted to be using the 12.x system to play on the PlayStation Network. But that's really the only real reason that I would have a completely updated system for the PlayStation 4. So, anyways, here is the guide, and I hope that this for the PlayStation 4 has been useful. Now, let's switch over to the PlayStation 5. ETA hen goes up to 6.x as of right now. Now, I know there's different firmwares that has things such as the hypervisor and so forth, but I just want to talk about what's currently available at this moment. And I do assume that a large number of you, when you hear the term jailbreak, you're probably thinking homebrew, but you're also probably thinking running game backups. And so, with that being said, ETA hen going up to 6.x. Let's see what the landscape looks like on this one. So, for the PlayStation 5, if you've got a 1.x and a 2.x, keep those exactly like they are. Do not mess with those systems. They're going to continue to rise in value over time. And even right now, I'm already seeing these things at $1,000 plus. So keep those systems just like they are. Now, if you do have a 3.x system, then you're going to be in great shape because all of the 3.00 all the way up to 5.50 is kind of what I consider this sweet spot, meaning that we can run things like the IPv6 exploit, and even now, those systems with the latest Item Sauce UMTX2, it is a great firmware to be on. Now, if you do have a 4.x, then I would say you're obviously in great shape, again up to 5.50. But 4.03 is absolutely, in my opinion, the golden firmware of the PlayStation 5, and I don't see that changing absolutely at all. The hypervisor exploit, which really resulted in very few being able to take advantage of it, doesn't compare to the amount of support and stability that 4.03 has. And the main reason for that is I believe there is a whole lot of developers, even testers, including myself, that has been able to test the homebrew software on 4.03. And I don't see that changing because, again, my PlayStation 5 4.03 is basically going to be setting with me forever. Now, again, if you are on 5.x up to 5.50, then stay where you are. Even if you're not on that, again, stay where you are there. For the 6.x, we still have a jailbreak there that you can take advantage of. So again, ETA hen goes up to 6.x, which means that you would be able to play and load backups on this version. Now, the next one that we have here is our 7.x. And for those versions, I would say up to at least 7.61, which is where we've got an exploit. Again, just stay where you are, hold the line, so to speak. And then for 8.x, stay where you're at. And then this might be controversial, but I would say for the PlayStation 5 exploits on a 9, a 10, and 11, it is very much not likely at this point. And if I were you, I would take that PS5 and I would try to sell it. Again, being that I think you can have a pretty good chance finding a PlayStation 5 up to 7.61 at this current moment. I believe that the money that you get from it, you could put it right back into one of these firmwares that you could start enjoying the jailbreak with. Anyways, that is my updated guide on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. I put a ton of thought into this and really thought about which ones I would sell and which ones I would keep and which ones that I would update. And I hope this information is valuable to you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Michael, out.